welcome back to the farm. In today's episode, we're going to be harvesting some of the basil that you see right behind me, as well as some of the tomatoes that we have growing out front. We have a ton of tomatoes. We're going to be making some green salsa that we'll share with you here today. And then we're also going to show you how we make our dairy-free pesto. It's a mean pesto that has great flavor and stores well. So stay tuned. Our main source of basil on the farm. We grow basil in our side raised garden bed each year. We've done this for 3 years now, and it does really well in this raised garden bed. We also grow a little bit more out front in a separate pot. We'll show you some footage of that one. That one's doing great as well. But once we're through harvesting these plants, we'll start harvesting the plants out front. This is just to get a longer duration of having fresh basil in the house. All right, so for our pesto recipe, we use 2 cups fresh basil leaves, rinsed and de-stemmed. I use 1/4 cup dry roasted peanuts, plus a little bit more just to add some flavor. I use 1/2 cup oil. You can use canola, avocado, EVOO, any oil will do. A dash of salt or more to taste. And 2 garlic cloves. I put these in whole. So this is our green tomato salsa recipe. Pretty easy to make. We're gonna start with 6 to 8 whole garlic cloves. You're gonna go ahead and leave them whole for the purposes of this recipe because we're gonna actually put them on the baking sheet here and we're gonna bake them in the oven along with our other veggies. We're also gonna use 1 whole jalapeno pepper. We're gonna cut that in half and de-seed it. And I always like to give it a nice rinsing as well. And then once that's ready to go, we're going to add that to the baking sheet with our garlic cloves. We use 1 whole white onion. I do divide this into quarters, but then I also peel it away so that I have multiple layers of quarters. And again, you're going to divide that or spread that out over the baking sheet as well. Then we're going to take my favorite part, the green tomatoes. Now I have large tomato trees growing right now. I have a ton of plants growing in our gardens. So we actually trim our tomatoes back this time of year just so that we get more tomato focus on, more of the plant to focus on giving more of itself to the tomatoes that are already growing. So when I cut back the tomatoes, I had a ton of branches that had green tomatoes on them. So what we do with those green tomatoes is instead of them going to waste, we'll go ahead and use those for this green tomato chili or green tomato salsa. And this is really like a salsa verde type salsa. So you can use this for a dip for chips. You can use it to make tortillas, to add as a dip for your tortillas. All sorts of different uses for this. I always take the stem portion off the tomatoes before I bake them in the oven. And I like to spread the tomatoes out over the dish just so that everything kind of mingles together in the oven. We're going to set it to broil and high. And we're really only going to broil them for 5 minutes per side. This is just to get everything soft because we are going to put everything into a food processor. So we don't need to cook it too long, just enough to bring the flavors out and soften everything up a bit. So we've got our food processor here. This is a smaller one. I don't always use this for salsa verde, but for this time I'm going to. So we're going to take most of the veggies that we have on our bake sheet that we just broiled in the oven, and we're going to mix them together straight as is. We're going to put 2 tablespoons lime juice in our mixture here, more or less to taste. We also do fresh parsley, and again, more or less to taste. I always put a bunch. And then we mix that up. And I usually kind of pulse it a few times just to get the mixture together and everything mixed together, but still a little bit chunky. And that's our salsa verde.